Tonight we're here for a very special screening of Jacques Audiard's Emilia Perez. We're presenting the film on 35mm, and of course, after the screening, we will be joined by a couple of very special guests to discuss the film directly following the end of the feature. Joining us on stage will be writer-director Jacques Audiard in person, who will be in conversation with legendary artist and filmmaker Julian Schnabel. All right. Thank you all for spending your evening with us. I know you won't be disappointed. Ladies and gentlemen, Emilia Perez.
But we'll get into that. I just want to let him get out of that hallway, okay? So Jacques, Nicola, please come out. Merci beaucoup. Maybe we can turn the lights down a little bit. It's a little rough.
Yes, please. Just turn it down.
Pretty good.
I love the darkness.
Yeah, can't see anything.
Je vous vois pas alors que vous êtes si beau.
I can't see you, but you're so beautiful.
C'est un peu un potentiel parce que quand c'est comme ça, je vois rien du tout.
Yeah, it's a bit of a problem because I can't see anything at all.
You have to look into yourself.
Yes. Oui, je le fais tout le temps et franchement, ça me donne envie de vomir.
I do it all the time, and honestly, it makes me want to throw up.
Okay, let's just get
On peut rien faire pour cette lumière, s'il vous plaît?
Isn't there something we could do about this light, please?
Non, apparemment.
Can we?
Apparently not.
C'est terrible, hein, tu te rends compte, Julian?
I have an idea.
Yes.
No. It's gonna work.
It works?
Yeah.
Okay. Shoot.
Okay, so first thing is, and my wife asked me to ask you this question. So, without knowing anything about the beginning of the inception of this film, did you conceive of this movie with singing from the onset?
Non.
Okay.
Mais une chose assez étonnante quand même, Julian, c'est que je l'ai écrit très vite, c'était pendant un confinement. Je m'ennuyais terriblement. Et en fait, j'ai écrit un traitement. Treatment, c'est quoi? 30 pages. Et c'était en fait écrit comme un livret d'opéra. C'était divisé en actes, c'était pas des scènes, c'était des tableaux. Les personnages étaient très archétypaux, il n'y avait pas du tout de psychologie. Et ça m'a beaucoup surpris parce que c'était la première fois que ça se produisait. Alors je n'ai pas pensé spécifiquement à tel type de musique, mais la musique faisait partie du projet.
Okay, do you want to translate that for me? I mean, I can do it very poorly.
The surprising thing, Julian, is that I initially wrote this very fast. It was during lockdown, and I was terribly bored. And I wrote a first treatment that was about 30 pages long, and I wrote it as a libretto. It was divided in acts, not scenes, tableaus. The characters were archetypes with absolutely no psychology, and this was rather surprising to me. And so initially, when I started writing, actually, yes, there was music.
So, when one puts music in a film, lots of times, I mean, I know when I do it, the music is like dialogue. I mean, whether it's a musical or not. For example, in The Diving Bell, for example, when Tom Waits is singing and they're on the beach, it is narration. And so I think it's a fundamental part of, I think that Jacques is a Whitman-esque director. And what I mean by that is everything exists on one plane. There are no hierarchical notions about what could be an image, what could be language, what could be, so in this particular sense, you've got Zoe dancing and singing, and you've got things that are extremely theatrical and look staged. And then you've got people, you know, I always wonder when I'm watching a movie, are the extras really extras? Or are they real people, or what's the deal, you know? But in this movie, you've got extras, or they're not really extras, they're real people. And this sense of reality and irreality is something that is consistent in your work. And I've known your films since you made a version of Fingers with Roman Delay and actually with Niels Arastrup, who died. Niels died 2 days ago, no? Yeah, he was a great actor. He played in The Diving Bell. He played in he played in The Prophet. He was a brilliant actor.
Je l'aimais, moi.
He was a great
I loved him.
both of us. I loved him. Anyway, I don't want to get off that, but I think that there's a way of film, you know, what is this movie really about?
Alors tu sais quoi, Julian, quand j'essaie de désarticuler un petit peu tout ce que tu viens de dire là, moi je pense que toi, comme moi, en fait fondamentalement nous venons du muet. Et donc peut-être plus de la musique que du dialogue, au sens de dialoguiste, du sens de blablabla, 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 blablabla. Et ça, je crois que toi, comme moi, ce sont des choses qui ne nous intéressent pas énormément dans le cinéma. Nous, on aime le cinéma lorsqu'il a été originalement muet. Voilà. Et donc, qui dit muet dit musique. Tu veux traduire ça? Pas de la facilité.
You know what,
très bien.
Julian, I'm going to unpack a little bit of what you just said, and I think that you and me fundamentally come from silent film, which means that we're more into music than dialogue. Dialogue in the sense of blah, 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 blah. You and me are not so interested in that, which means that what we are interested in is silent film, and that means music.
Alors, je vais faire une parenthèse peut-être un petit peu longue, mais moi, je suis obligé de m'interroger sur le fait que depuis un moment, c'est-à-dire j'en ai fait 2, 3, je ne sais plus, je tourne des films dans des langues que je ne parle pas du tout, mais pas du tout. Je parle très très mal anglais, j'ai fait Sister Brothers, je parle très très mal espagnol, j'ai fait Emilia Perez, je parle pas du tout le chinois mandarin, j'ai fait les Olympiades, je ne parle pas du tout tamil, j'ai fait Dipan. Je suis obligé de m'interroger, pourquoi quittais-je ma langue natale? Et ben je crois que c'est une question de musicalité. En fait, j'aime abandonner le sens, que je vais absolument entendre, pour aller vers un rapport avec le dialogue qui serait strictement musical, chanté.
Okay, you want to do that?
Yeah.
I'm going to do a little aside now, which may be a little long, but you know, I've had to ask myself for some time now, it's been, I don't know how many films, but I've been making films in languages that I don't speak. I made Sister Brothers, my English is very poor. I made Emilia Perez, I don't speak Spanish. I made Les Olympiades, I don't speak Mandarin Chinese. And I made Dipan, I don't speak Tamil. So I have to ask myself, why do I leave my native language to make films? And I think it has to do with letting go. It has to do with abandoning meaning to have actually a more sung relationship to dialogue. Musicality.
And I guess one of the reasons why we actually get along really well is, I mean, obviously, I made Before Night Falls, it was in Spanish. It was the first, also, we spoke English in it, also, but it was the first film Javier Bardem made where he actually spoke English. And then I made, I remember when I made The Diving Bell and the Butterfly, and Jerome Seydoux said to me, you're going to make this movie in England. He said, you're an American director. I said, I'm going to make it in French. He said, well, I said, don't you think it's going to be weird if there's an audience in France and they're speaking English and they're reading French subtitles, and he said, no, I don't think that's going to be weird at all. I said, well, I do, and I'm not going to do that. So we made the diving bell and the butterfly in French. But he doesn't speak Spanish, I do. But I didn't speak French when I made the diving bell. So it is about, so for example, I just want to say one way to do something is if you have an actor and they want to know what to do. And it was Patrick Chenet, and he's a doctor. And so I said, okay, if he can't move his head, so he doesn't know, all you have to do is you walk this way, and you walk that way, and he can't move his head. Patrick Chenet got it, did it, and that's directing.
Je suis d'accord.
I agree.
Jérôme Sédou a compris ta leçon, parce que quand je lui ai dit que j'allais faire un film chantant en espagnol, parler espagnol, il ne m'a pas posé de questions. Il y a un progrès.
Jérôme Sédou must have understood your lesson, because when I told him that I was going to make a film spoken and sung in Spanish, he didn't ask me any questions.
So,
Your light is bothering me, sorry.
okay, so maybe it would be nice for people to ask questions, no? Instead of just somebody talking, to get an idea of what your response to the film is. Because I'd like to open it up just by saying one thing. It's extraordinary when, if you think about what Zoe Saldana is doing, what that's like to walk into a room filled with people doing whatever they're doing, and you have to take that and take whatever's inside of you and put it out there and do what she's doing in the middle of all of that. How do you do that? How do you make sense out of that? How does that fit into something that is absolutely incongruous to, by its nature, to what is going on in the scene? And the way that this performance is going on throughout the film, where, for example, when they're marching and Emilia, right, is walking, and then there's all of these group of people that are singing, and everybody's singing. How does everybody, what does he do, and how does everybody get in sync to do something that is so real and is so artificial at the same time? I think that was an extraordinary accomplishment. And I wanted to say one more thing, is that when the statue of her is walking through, it's like in the Easter festival in Sevilla or something like that. You've got this, or in Mexico, where she's a statue of her walking through this. I just thought they were amazing. Anyway, I'm sorry. Just wanted to get to that, how you get all those people to do what you want.
D'abord, merci. Après, comment il y a plusieurs choses, comment la scène de début, la scène avec Rita sur le marché, le truc qui se fait, on a beaucoup travaillé, on a beaucoup répété, Après, on a répété pour que moi je sois encore dans mes marques, que je puisse encore changer des choses au tournage. La chose n'est pas fixée. Après, quand tu parles de la scène de la fin, c'était la seule scène que je pensais tourner au Mexique et que j'ai tourné en fait à Mexico. Il y avait ce côté retour, on ramène tout à la maison, quoi, en gros. Voilà. Et ça, c'était une répétition avec des gens du village qui étaient très très contents d'occuper leur journée. Et là aussi, c'est une fanfare, on a répété, mais c'était comme ci, comme ça, c'était plus ou moins précis, mais c'était très agréable. Vous savez quoi, j'ai adoré tourner ce film, en fait. Il ne faut pas trop le dire.
So, first of all, thank you, Julian. And there's several things. You mentioned the scene at the beginning where Rita is walking in the market, and for that we worked a lot. We rehearsed a lot. And we rehearsed so that I could still change things once I was on the shoot. I didn't want things to be fixed. As for the end scene that you referred to, that was a scene that I had thought of shooting in Mexico from the beginning, and we returned to Mexico to shoot that scene there. It was kind of an idea of bringing it all back home. And we shot it with the people in the village where we shot, and I think they were very happy to find something to do that day. It was a fanfare, and we rehearsed, but it wasn't that fixed, you know, it was like this. And the truth is, I really loved making this film. You're not supposed to say that too much, but I loved making it.
It looks like it.
You're allowed to have fun sometimes.
I would say one more thing. If it's not fun, whatever you're doing, stop doing it. I mean, okay, so is there somebody in the audience that would like to know something or ask something else so I don't monopolize this conversation? Yes, the man with the glasses and the arm.
Hi, thanks for making this great movie. Just wanted to ask, how did you cast your Emilia? How did you find her? Or them?
En faisant pas mal d'erreurs. Voilà, j'ai beaucoup tâtonné au tout début. Enfin, pas au tout début, ça a duré longtemps malheureusement. Sur les 3, 4, 5 premières versions du scénario, je m'étais les âges des personnages étaient totalement différents. Rita avait 25 ans, Emilia Manitas en avait 30, et Epifania en avait 17. Et quand donc je voyais les très jeunes femmes, des trucs, mais ça n'allait même pas du tout. C'était vide de sens. Et puis à très peu d'intervalle, je fais la connaissance de Zoé Saldana et de Carla Sofia Gascon. Et la première évidence pour moi, c'est ce que je viens de vous dire là, c'est que je me suis trompé dans l'âge du casting, complètement. Que elles ont le véritable âge, le bon âge du casting, entre 40 et 50 ans. Quand vous avez 25 ans, vous pouvez revendiquer une grosse douleur, on va moyennement vous croire. Quand vous en avez 50, que vous êtes métisse, que vous travaillez dans un cabinet d'avocats blancs, ça va être difficile pour vous. Donc je la comprends. Et en fait, ça a été ça le premier déclic. Après, ça a été les premières répétitions avec Carla Sofia, où j'ai trouvé absolument vertigineuse. Et puis Zoé, c'était formidable. J'avais enfin quelqu'un qui pouvait chanter, danser, jouer la comédie. C'est quand même assez rare. Voilà.
Did everybody know that it was the same actor? Yes. Throughout the movie? Did anybody, or you discovered that?
Oof.
How many people discovered that at the end and thought that Manitas was a man? I certainly did when I saw it. I mean, I wasn't paying attention to the credits or whatever. It was amazing that person.
Je peux raconter une anecdote. Un jour, il y a un producteur, c'était pendant je parle du festival de Cannes, qui est venu vers moi et qui m'a dit mais pourquoi tu appelles ce film Emilia Pérez alors qu'elle apparaît au bout de 45 minutes?
Okay, so to go back to this gentleman's question, initially with the casting of Emilia, I made a lot of mistakes. And that was at the beginning, but unfortunately it lasted quite a long time, which is to say for 4 or 5 initial versions of the screenplay, I was completely wrong about the main characters' ages. Rita was 25, Manitas was 30, Epifania was 17. So I was seeing all these young women and it simply was not working. It was devoid of meaning. And then in a rather short span of time, I met both Zoe Saldana and Carla Sofia Gascon, and the first thing that was immediately clear then is that I was completely wrong about the age, and that in fact these characters should be more in the range of 45 to 50. You know, if you're 25 years old and you claim that you have a tremendous pain in your life, we might not really believe you that much. If you're 40 years old and you're mixed race and you're a lawyer working in a white firm, you might have a claim to real pain. And so that was the first click to help me understand that. And then once I started rehearsing with Carla Sofia, it was simply dizzying to see her at work. And similarly with Zoe Saldana, once I had a person in front of me who could sing, dance, and act, it was just incredible because it doesn't happen that often. And then relating to what Julian was saying about recognizing that Carla is playing Manitas, I have a little anecdote to tell, which is that I was at Cannes and this producer came up to me and he was like, "Why did you call the movie Emilia Perez? She only shows up after 45 minutes.
Je travaillerai jamais avec lui.
I'll never work with that guy."
Well, I think what's extraordinary, what you're really saying, is that when you're making a movie, or I don't know how other people do it, but I kind of have an idea about where he does it, or the way I would do it. You don't illustrate what you know. You discover it as you're doing it. You stumble across whatever you're going to do until you find that thing that you can attach to, and then that takes you to the next step. And the accumulation of all that ultimately is the movie. And you might not even understand what your movie is while you're doing it. So all I'm saying is that you could fly to Houston and maybe you're going to go through Nashville or through Oklahoma, but you better land on the tarmac when you get to Houston. Anyway, you definitely landed on the tarmac. I have to say one thing. We've only got 4 more minutes, so if somebody really needs to say something, like you right there, you need to say something.
Who is your choreographer? Did you do the choreographer?
Bah, c'est dommage, franchement j'aurais bien
You
aimé.
can read that in your personal.
C'est comment il est. C'est Damien Jallet. C'est un garçon extraordinairement talentueux, franco-belge. Et c'est dommage, j'aurais bien aimé vous l'amener, il était là ce soir, comme ça, pour vous montrer qu'il existe vraiment. Mais c'était vraiment une chouette rencontre.
So it's Damien Jallet, who's an extraordinarily talented guy. He's Franco-Belge, and I wish I could have brought him to you tonight. He was just here in New York earlier to show you that he really does exist.
Anybody else? Yes.
Hi, I'm Patricio.
Sí, Patricio, ¿cómo estás?
Bien, gracias.
Okay.
On the scene where the child describes the scent of his father,
Yes.
how on earth did you get this kid to transcend divinity? Because it made that scene epic.
That's a good point.
Alors, oui. Merci, monsieur. Te hueles comme mon papa. It's the title of the song. Et comment j'ai fait? J'ai eu du mal parce que l'enfant il était un peu terrible, quoi. Et alors le modèle de ça, c'était le Pio Jésus du Requiem de Fauré. Je ne sais pas si vous connaissez Fauré, c'est un musicien French musician, de Requiem de Fauré. Le morceau c'est Pio Jésus et c'est une voix d'enfant comme ça très très haut. Et que j'avais toujours cette idée-là. Et puis voilà. Qu'est-ce que je pourrais dire d'autre?
Yes, Nicolas.
C'est déjà pas mal. Mais comme j'ai pas bien compris la question, c'était...
La question c'est comment tu as fait?
I don't give you nothing while they figure
Alors
this
voilà,
out.
translation.
But there's one thing in Parasite, the film Parasite, the guy comes to clean up over there and he said, "You smell like," the child said that you smell like this other person that was in the house. So this, right, the sense of smell, which people don't really talk about, is super
Maybe I could be a
important.
bit more specific with a question.
Wow.
Il y en a 2 qui s'en vont là.
Is,
Two people are leaving.
do you go
Make it
past-
quick.
I want you to go past the directing of the technique, the circumstances with the kid, having a kid, or you allow him to purely spontaneity to take place.
You're answering your own question. Yeah.
Non, mais enfin, je vais être très honnête, je sais plus qui disait il faut éviter 2 choses dans un tournage, c'est tourner avec des animaux, avec des chevaux et tourner avec des enfants. J'ai commis cette erreur-là 2 fois, une fois avec un western et une fois là. Je plaisante. Smiley.
So going back, first of all, thank you, sir. I'll have to admit it was hard because the child was kind of difficult. The model for that scene and that song was the Requiem Pio Jésus by Gabriel Fauré, the French composer, which has a child's voice that's very high pitched. So that was always my idea for that scene. And then in response to your second part of the question, to be very honest, I don't remember who said this, but a filmmaker said that one should always avoid shooting with animals, i.e. horses, or children. I've now committed this error twice because I made a Western and now I made Emilia Perez.
That was W.C. Fields. Okay, so I think we have to go now.